and then dropped out of college. But in high school, I always think, and that's why, and I know we'll go into this later, but that's why I have such a big mission and vision to teach people how to go from employees to entrepreneurs, right. And make it an option since the time we're kids. Because I realized growing up, and you and I have the same, personality, and so we think the same. And growing up, and I'm sure you could relate, I always felt like I didn't fit in. Like this whole thing of like raise your hand, follow the rules, stay quiet, do your homework, like basically be an obedient slave, and training us to become employees. And it just never really sat well. And so I never did well. I was very disruptive. I was a class clown. I was, trying to get people's attention because I wasn't getting it at home. So that's how class clowns try to, look for attention. And so, man, I mean, in both my attitude and my grades, I never did good in school. I would ditch school. And especially after my dad passed away, I would like ditch school, smoke weed, skateboard all day. And, I was like a rebel because like I was just, didn't know how to deal with what I was experiencing. Right. Interesting. I say, so you said that you had, what were your grades? I graduated my senior year with 4 Fs and 1 D because I only needed 5 credits to graduate. And that 1 D got me my diploma. Shit. It's funny. I mention all the time, I was in special ed classes to the 10th grade. Which is true, special ed classes to the 10th grade, man. And I graduated, but I was in summer school or vacation school because it wasn't summer. We had tracks. So we were on 4 months, off 2 months. Well, we went to the same high school, right? But I never had a vacation. I always had to be in school to get the extra credits because if not, I wouldn't have passed. And so, but that's one thing that's very true, man. The A students end up working for the C students, the C and D students, because it's the C and D students that go out there and become entrepreneurs, go out there and take the risk. And then the A students, they're more taught on how to be a better employee, how to obey. Yes, sir. Yes, boss. And we look at the world that we live in today, controversial, but I don't care. We look at the world that we live in today, man. Everybody's being told what to do. Mandate after mandate after mandate. This is becoming the USSA. You know what I'm saying? It's like if people don't see the brainwashing, I tell people, hey, how do you cook a frog? Little by little. Put a frog in a pan, normal water, then you raise the heat little. Then eventually the frog is cooked. And that's what's happening. That's what happens always with school, with kids going through school. Then if they go to a college or university, they keep getting cooked on a couple things. To be an employee, number 1. To be obedient, number 2. And also, now, socialist philosophies, man. Communist philosophies, man. And they don't even know it. So when they come out, it's funny. Did you see that picture of AOC with her dress? Yeah. It says tax the rich. The funny thing is that she was at a fucking gala that's $35,000 a ticket with a bunch of rich elites that didn't get there by the shit she's promoting, right? They got there by entrepreneurship and capitalism, right? So to me, that is an irony of this bullshit. But see, that's the kind of stuff that's being pushed in schools, man. And, maybe we could touch on that a little bit, but tell me about how you got into the entrepreneurship and the bachata days. So I went into community college, and again, I always failed all my classes. Like I just failed everything. I didn't even pass pre-algebra, which was like a 6th or 7th grade by the time I was senior year. But I graduated, went to community college, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do because I didn't even know that entrepreneurship was an option. Luckily, I joined the salsa team at Orange Coast College, and my salsa partner introduced me to bachata. She said, hey, go check out the CD, Aventura. They just had a concert. They did a live recording. That day, I went to go buy it, and I just fell in love with the music. So I started practicing at home, watching the few YouTube videos there was in 2006, 7. And then I started missing a couple classes because 3 months after I learned about the dance, I started teaching bachata to some friends. So I had the BlackBerry phone at the time, and I sent a group text to my friends, and I said, hey, I'm going to start teaching bachata at Yaneli's house. Yaneli was one of my homegirls at the time. And there was like a big brick wall, had my little CD player with the Aventura song, and that's where I started teaching bachata for free. Like 2 people showed up, my friend and his girlfriend at the time, and then 3 people, 4 people, 5 people. Then I started charging $5, $7. Then I'm like, man, I'm getting legit. I need to find a dance studio. Right. So I found a dance studio in Buena Park, California, called Easy Dance Studio. I think it's still there. And I started teaching there once a week. Then I started doing monthly boot camps, started building a name and a brand. And then I started reaching out to festival organizers, and I said, hey, I'm interested in coming out to your events. I went to Arizona, Hawaii, San Francisco, Chicago, Chicago, a couple other events. And then my teachers in the community college say, Jorge, if you miss one more time, we're going to have to withdraw you. As you know, we got if you miss 3 times, we got to give you a W, withdraw you. And so I had to make a decision. At the time, I was working at Bank of America as a personal banker.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, do I keep my job and stay in community college, or do I quit and go all in on this vision of building my own business through dance? So of course I jumped off the mountain, built an airplane on the way down, quit my job. I quit community college, and I basically started my business as a bachata dance instructor, which is how I met you.
Yeah.
And started the first bachata dance company with my partner. Started the first bachata festivals in Los Angeles. Started the first bachata nightclub in the U.S.
Wow.
And got to travel to over 25 countries, teaching, performing, teaching other instructors, putting on competitions, concerts. Just build like this huge business with like 8 streams of income.
Wow. I know, man. When I met you, you were like at the peak, man. You had all these festivals and stuff going on and classes in different places. And I'm like, dude, this dude is crushing it. But see, to me, it was a surprise, though. When you did like a 360, you went in a different direction into the real estate investing and the Airbnb. And you, if I'm not mistaken, you cold turkey kind of left the bachata business. Is that right?
That's right.
How did that happen? Why did that happen?
So I realized that I had a really high income. I was already doing like multiple 6 figures with my dance business in my mid-20s, but I didn't have any time. I had high income, but no assets. And so if I stopped working, I wouldn't have been able to take care of myself or my family. True. And I was traveling so much. I would come back from the weekends from being in Europe teaching, and I'd go straight into teaching. And my relationship was starting to get serious with my wife,
yes,
girlfriend at the time. We wanted to have kids in the future. And I'm like, man, there's no way I could have a normal life,
yep,
just working 14, 16-hour days. Again, the income was there, but the assets and the time weren't. I was like, there's got to be a way to build a business that doesn't require me to trade time for money. So even though it was my business, I was that self-employed person who I thought I was an entrepreneur. Really, I was just an employee of my own business. If I stopped working, money stopped coming in. And so I had no time freedom.
You thought you owned the business, but the business
owned me.
Yep.
Exactly, because there was no time. If I stopped working, the money stopped coming in.
Right.
And so I built a business that always needed me to be there physically clocking in, just like a 9-to-5. There was no difference.
Tough.
And so in 2012, I purchased my first piece of property, Boya Heights. It was in the hood. 6% of all murders happen in LA.
Damn.
But I was like, hey, it's not the dream home, it's just the first home.
That's right.
So I got the first one, added a couple units over the years. When I first got that house, I lived in a master. I rented 3 bedrooms, and that's how I lived mortgage payment free. Saved the mortgage of $1,800 a month for 2 months, and then I did a new construction in the back in 2014.
Nice.
Then in 2016, a friend of mine introduced me to Airbnb, one of my dance students, and she said she was making 3 times a month with Airbnb than what she was making with long-term tenants. So in March of 2017, I launched my first 4 units, all with existing properties. And so I didn't realize that I was essentially out of the rat race, because I was already making about $100,000 a year, $100,000 a year of just passive income, cash flow with my 4 Airbnbs.
Wow.
And so I knew, I would see these guys in the dance community that were in their 50s and 60s, and they were stuck because they never did anything else. And all the younger people were teaching for lesser price. They were starting to fade out. Some of them were still living with their parents. It was just a really bad situation. I'm like, that's not going to be me. I need to shift. So around November 1st of 2017, I was like, all right, I'm going to give myself a year to be here doing this dance business, and then I'm going to quit and go on to something else. And then I was like, you know what? If anybody else asked me what to do, I would have told them that just jump off the mountain and build an airplane on the way down and just do it now.
That's right.
So literally I spoke to the owner of the nightclub, and I said, hey, in 2 weeks, like, I'm done. And he was very proud of me, because he realized that I had actually outgrown the place, and that I was ready to go on and just spread my wings and do something else.
Yeah.
So for about 6 to 8 months, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I left the nightclub, and I left my dance company. And for about 8 months, I just, before dance, I was always an athlete. So I played basketball 4 years in high school, 4 years of volleyball and basketball. But I would get injured, and then I couldn't teach dance. One time I went to Europe, and I had to hurt my ankle, and I couldn't teach. And I was like, man, I can't let this happen again. I can't play anymore. So when that happened, I went to go back to playing sports. I just started joining all these meetups. And then it kind of just hit me. I was like, holy shit, like I'm financially free. On my monthly expenses, my mortgage, everything is being paid by the money I make in my sleep for my Airbnbs.
That's right.
So I decided to just double down. Some people say, hey, Jorge, should I work my weaknesses? I'm like, hey, you should double down on your strengths.
Nice.
And that's what I did. I doubled down on Airbnb, started going into the subleasing strategy, growing and scaling fast.